Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Growing Up Alien. And today we have a special one-on-one chat with our old friend Paul Hyman, who's been teaching us so many wonderful skills on how to navigate the stress and trauma of living on a planet that isn't your own, but you're here to do a mission and a service to others. So sometimes a little service to self is needed, and Paul gives us those tools to help us recenter so that we can do our mission here. But today, we're going to learn a little bit more about Paul, but I'm going to send it over to Paul so he can say hello to everyone, and maybe he has a few little tidbits he'd like to share. So, Paul, I'll hand it over.
Thank you, Andrea, and welcome everybody. This is a little bit of a change up from the past three podcasts because we're going to do a little bit of Q&A so you get to know me a little bit better. And just to start with, you might see my trombone in the background here. I was a professional musician before I got into this stuff for over 30 years in healthcare. However, my intention is to take you through the way I work in absolute chaos. I've been instructing a little bit about each of the skills, but today I'm going to talk about how to just do this, do this, do this, do this. And what I have here is like an artist's palette. And what we're going to be looking at is that you've seen me talk about this. And I think one of the things that I'd like to share with you today is that when you're in fear and feeling threatened, all you want to do is get away from the danger. But the other piece is when you get to the peak here, the summit, it's an attraction towards. Because when you're on the summit, just imagine, can you see what was behind you once you go over that pyramid? No. But what you see in front of you is this incredible vista of possibilities that motivates you. Oh, what's that? What's that? And that's what I would like to share with you today, how I quickly go through this, some of the skills. And as an artist palette, they're in no order. So that's a little bit of how I like to start this off. And to make it a little bit more real, I've got this blue ball. And it went to red, went to blue. And then it just goes to red. Life can change in a blink of an eye. You're in the wrong place. Oh, no, you're in the right place at the wrong time. However, you can be the right person in that situation, not just for yourself, but for other people in your community, because you have no control over just what happened. However, you do have a choice of what you do next. And that is why I'm teaching you these skills, because our life right now, my thing is the only thing predictable in life is unpredictability, except death is inevitable. How and when is uncertain. So, with that in mind, got this little thing here. So, when you're hit with crisis, all of a sudden, all the gears in your brain start flipping around. And when that happens, you have something like this. Everything is just spinning on you. You have no idea what is happening. And to make it a little bit more, this is me. You have a hammer.
That's good. That's good. Yeah,
Just pounding on your head. So, what I like to do right now is take you through different situations require different strategies. So, right now, I'm going to take you through as if I had never met you before. Just follow along. So, first of all, everybody, have some water. So, water, everybody.
I'll pretend. Okay.
In that immediate chaos, and I've really studied this immensely, you do not want anything more than to get a person connected in the body. Breathing is the worst because they're already shell shocked. They're like eyes are like this, or they're darting all over the place, and they're hyperventilating. So drink water. Now, extend your legs out, everybody, straight out in front of you, like you can be just kicking back and going, ah, finally, this is the end of Paul. Cross one ankle over the other. Have your hands straight out in front, thumbs up. Rotate your hands inwards, thumbs are down. Cross your left arm over right. Interlock your fingers and tuck yourself down and around and just rest them on your chest. You can wiggle your shoulders, drop your shoulders. And just let the hands sink into your chest, breathing. And as you are doing this, I want you to be aware if your tongue is on the roof of your mouth. If not, put the tongue there. I just want to have a little timer here because this is fast. This is a 3-minute timer. We're going to flip it twice. So just like this. And notice how this is feeling for you. Sooner than soon, you will probably notice you take a big in breath or a big out breath. Something in your nervous system has shifted. So now, when you notice that, cross your other ankle over. As you're breathing and the hands are resting on your chest, I'd like you to notice if you feel the rise and fall of your hands. So as you breathe, you can feel the hands rising up, going on for a ride with your chest, going down. We're going to keep doing this, everybody. Only this time, take your right hand over on one shoulder, across your chest, other hand over. This is equally as effective. This is great for children. When I started my career in wellness, I spent 3 years in palliative care, and I loved it. You know, helping people die is an incredible honor. And when I leave for the week, finish my shift, I'd say to them, well, I'll see you next week. And their reply was, I hope so.
Yeah.
However, it's terrible. But in absolute chaos, when you have somebody close to you that's been shot, cut, blown up, killed, or about to be die, a child, especially children. They can't even process what just has happened.
Right.
And I believe we give people comfort to make their transition. So if that child's going to bleed out in 2 minutes, having their leg blown off, yeah, you're going to be in tears, but would you not want to give them some type of comfort to make that passing easier? Now, take one hand, place it on your chest, take your other hand, place it on your belly button, and just breathing. I'm luxuriating in this beautiful air in Toronto without forest fires. And again, notice this and switch hands. Now, keeping one hand on the belly button, take your other hand, your index finger and thumb, just place it on your chest, just below your collarbone. And you can find these indentations by rolling your shoulders forward and feel these little hollow indentations. It's below the collarbone because I say to people, this is life enhancing. This is life ending. So, hand on these points, rubbing them, massaging them, everybody. Now, keep your eyes tracking from left to right, slowly blinking and breathing. Breathe and blink, breathe and blink, breathe and blink, breathe and blink, breathe and blink until you feel this nice, smooth tracking. Switch hands, other hand is on your chest, index finger and thumb on those little hollow points, hand on the belly button, breathing and blinking. Now follow your eyes up, follow your eyes down, and again, blinking and breathing, blinking and breathing, blinking and breathing. And notice how that feels. Now, what I'd like you to do is uncross your ankles, put your feet up on the floor. Now, people are saying, all I want to do is get my feet back on the ground. I want to get grounded. You may be saying that yourself. However, you can say all the words you want. This is a physical experience. Remember, no words. We're just doing it to get back in the body. So feel your big toe, feel your little toe, feel your big toe to little toe side to side, and you'll feel a little rock. Feel your little toe to heel, the outer edge of your foot. Feel your big toe to heel, your inner arch. Now begin a slow rotation in one direction. And you can have the tongue on the roof of your mouth. Still. Change direction, go the other way. gradually getting smaller and smaller and smaller until you come to a stillness. Now, what I'd like you to do is we're going to do this. So we're going to do starting off with a number 8. So you may want to just close your eyes. I'm going to flip this again. Close your eyes, but take your nose and trace the roundest, most fluid number 8. If you hear or feel anything glitchy, slow it down, breathe through it. Notice what direction you're going in and change direction. Now, I'd like you to go from side to side, an infinity sign, left to right, or a number 8 on its side. Change direction. And now I want you to do a combination of number 8 and infinity sign. Your choice when you want to go up and down, change direction, side to side, change direction, gradually getting smaller and smaller and smaller until eventually you come to a stillness. And notice what you notice inside. And the final skill I'd like to teach you, and this is where we're going to do some eye rotations around the clock. You could think of this as rock around the clock, but I can't get my trombone out yet. Anyways, put your elbows down on tabletop or rest them on your chest. And very lightly, just place your fingertips above your eyebrows. And if you feel safe, close your eyes. And now what I'd like you to do is you can keep your eyes closed and you can kind of look up with your eyes closed, look down, look to one side, look to the other side. Or you can open your eyes and again, looking up, looking down, looking to one side, looking to the other side. And now you're going to rock around the clock starting at 12, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10, 11, 12, reverse, 12, 11, 10, 9, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 3, 2, 1, 12. Take a moment, notice how you're feeling. Look straight out in front. And when you're ready, yes, this take you out there. Now just take your hands Give yourself a hug and say, I love me. I love me.
So cute.
Okay. Notice how that feels, everyone. So all I did was take this and create uh, a layering of different skills, all connected to this pyramid. And that's how
Mm,
you do it.
mm, yeah, yeah.
So what I like to really show you though is to go a little bit further. When you're doing this, everybody, this may be in crisis, this may be in chaos, but I may actually ask permission if I can hold the person's points here with my own hand. They got their legs crossed and they're doing this or they're doing this. Then I will stand in front of the person, not behind them. Remember, this is chaos. They are in shock. They want to know where you are spatially, so stand in front of them. Ask them if you may touch them. Sometimes it's culturally not appropriate. I'll place one hand on their forehead. I'll take my fingers and I will move it around the clock, watching their eyes. Wherever I see the eyes skip, that's a hot spot. I'll hold my fingers here, invite them to look, blink and breathe. Once that balances out, I continue around again. If there's another skip, I might hold it right here at, say, 4 o'clock. Continue on, reverse direction, and then I gradually bring right close to the eyes converge and let go. My suggestion working with trauma is quite amazing. You take a trauma incident and just take the first three memories that you remember most vividly. You practice these skills so you know where you are when you use them and how it can diffuse you. So, three memories is the most I ever really do. So, I have some other preparation stuff, basically what I've taught you. I will do this as that person thinks about that traumatic incident. I had one individual who had a stroke, and I said, what's the first thing you remember? The person says, at 1:05 in the morning. It was, it was so precise. At
Wow.
1:05 in the morning, I went to roll over. I could not move.
Wow. Okay.
So I started this at 1:05. What's your next thought? And lessen the stress, diffused it. What's your third thought? When the person saw me again, I asked them to recall some of these thoughts, and they said, yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
It didn't get the charge.
Wow.
Okay. So the thing is with this, as I said, you can start feeling yourself getting compressed, more and more compressed, more and more compressed, until you feel like you're just tied up in a knot. Your body is seized up. It's visceral. All the cognitive processing you can do isn't going to help you in this moment. But afterwards, we can regain ourselves. And what I find really beautiful about this, everyone, to just show you whatever you've experienced, is that that is pushing down, pushing down, pushing down, pushing down. You feel so compressed, but there's an energy building that all of a sudden, pow, you're back to being more of who you are, who you're meant to be. And I like this because nobody from the outside knows what's going on in your life. And in today's day and age, when they say, "How you doing?" Well, it depends on the mood I am. Do you really care? Well, if you do, I'll tell you. Anyways, this little cube is what we're working with. And we take it and we go inside and we're rotating it and we're changing the dynamics of all these pieces, all these little fractals. And then eventually we come back to wholeness. Now, I'll turn it over to Andrea.
Well, thank you so much for that wonderful example. Not, you've done so much work on this. It's mind-numbing. And again, I think it was funny. We were just having a conversation before we began filming, and you were surprised when they told you were the only person that was doing this kind of stuff.
Yes, yes.
Now, so that is surprising, and wow, I mean, I think what's as far as our audience is concerned, again, I don't know how many videos are out there that deal with our demographic, which is the people who are the starseed envoys, walk-ins, also the victims, and usually it's both, also the victims of the MyLabs, the MK Ultras, the secret space program, the super soldiers, cloning, abduction. So it's a very underserved, highly traumatized community. It's highly traumatized on many levels because it's done interdimensionally and it's done using advanced technology that very few understood. We do now, so we have a better perspective of that, but it was very hard and difficult for a lot of people to process what actually happened to them. So they would tend to dismiss it. Well, that could not have happened. I don't know where this came from, why I would have thought that. But of course, the memory is still stored in your body because during a lot of these abductions and MyLabs and all that I just mentioned, they can be done through clones, which still affect the original body. They can be done through phases where you're phased through time. You're drugged literally or through mind control techniques. So you have layers of experiences that leave you in a sort of jumble or limbo situation. But for many of us, this would have happened during childhood, 5, 6, 7, sometimes even younger. And you, as a child, wouldn't be able to really process any of what was going on. Some people may have come forward. There are definitely kids who said, hey, there were these weird things in my room, or some people would wake up outside, would wake up on the floor in the closet, strange situations like that as a child, and they may have been punished on top of it. So you have the extraterrestrial MyLab MK Ultra experiencers who were children, the vast majority, we're probably talking in the millions around the world, who would have been shamed or suppressed sometimes for through religion, maybe possessed, all kinds of, but generally they would have experienced a very negative response from their environment. So not only were the children going through trauma, it was supernatural as far as they were concerned. So it's very difficult to understand. No one would be there to support them. And the trauma that these children experienced was highly significant, involving military abductions, seeing battle, flying ships, being raped, tortured, they were the ones that were torturing. So it's layer upon layer of trauma systems. What is happening and what can be happening now for a lot of our audience, those who are not familiar with what have not sort of had the tsunami of memories, folks now are starting to have that happen. So they're reliving and revisiting things that they never knew actually happened to them. So as these memories will pop up out of the blue. What triggers them? I don't know, but they will pop up and enter your field. So for some of us, it's simply a matter of viewing it from the outside at this point. If you've already processed a lot of what's happened to you, and now you're like, okay, yeah, I get this. I know what we're in a war and all this. For others, it can be more surprising. They may not have ever realized that they were part of this. They may not have realized their husband or wife were actually handlers. They may not have realized that, wait a minute, as they go back through their life stories now, some of the things that had happened kind of pop up. They may have been in car accidents that weren't accidents. They realized they may have been attempts on their lives from outside forces. They realized that some of their health issues were actually caused. They realized that their financial issues were actually caused by the cabal. So they're processing not only the trauma and the prolonged lifelong trauma of these situations, the zero understanding of the majority of our matrix society to what they have been experiencing, not knowing where to go or how to step forward. And I'll put this in the description below, not only the work that you do, Paul, but we also have a breakout room now that we've established with Growing Up Alien, from some of our great friends and family who have, thoughtfully put these things together. So all of the folks who are experiencing this extraterrestrial abduction experience can talk with other people who have experienced it themselves. So that's a wonderful thing. And that's actually the whole purpose of our channel is to create a connection for all of the abduction people, for all of the contactees, for all of the MyLab, a secret space program, MK Ultra, blah, 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 right? And for them to be able to use these, this is a high trauma situation, and for them to be able to use these. And as they step into their understanding of what their role is here as envoys and as military operatives from off planet, they're going to have to step forward and assist, as they've already been doing, but assist the population here on Earth, the Terrans, in possible contact. We don't know what's going to happen, but they're going to be there for the party that may evolve. So go ahead, Paul. I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrea. And I said to Andrea, her graciousness to create this podcast to collectively bring people that have experienced all that she just talked about touches my heart immensely. And I think,
Oh, you want that's
however we met, thank you, Andrea. How many of you have ever felt like you're a stranger in a strange land?
well, I think that's probably every single. I'm going to say that's probably,
Okay.
you have no idea.
Andrea Andrea talked about this happening as children.
Oh yeah.
This happened when I was in utero.
Okay.
I was never meant to come into this world.
Mhm.
My affinity with death has been a theme throughout my life.
Wow.
That's why it was easy for me to work 3 years in palliative care, helping the dying die, because I'm a Star Wars child. May the fourth be with you. And back in 1956, I'm 69 years old. The medical process was a lot different. My mother's water broke, and I was inside my mother for a week until they couldn't pick up my heartbeat. They thought I was either dying or I was dead. So they did an emergency C-section on her. I was taken away because the priority was saving my mother's life, and I was just popped into an incubator. And it's just like I had no bonding. The trauma of when she almost bled to death
Um,
in the cesarean, she never was able to produce breast milk. I had no bonding, none at all.
wow.
So when it comes to like this, why am I here?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like been quite a journey. And this is where, I said to Andrea, let's just open this up a little bit
Yeah.
because in the Q&A, I had an experience where I had my trombone here and I was a professional trombonist for 15 years. I traveled around the world backing up entertainers. And then I played 9 years with the Hong Kong Philharmonic. And while I was there, I had my Chinese horoscope done by one of the masters. And, where they get your, time of birth, all the information they need. And when they finally gave me the report, they looked at me and they said, "You're not supposed to be alive."
Right. Right.
They said, no, they were shocked. They said,
Yeah. Yeah.
"You were supposed to have died 6 times.
Yeah.
Like, you're not supposed to be alive."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, da 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 da, here I am."
Yeah.
But what transpired later on, while I was still in Hong Kong, I had at least 3 near-death experiences. And the first one was a motorcycle accident because I was given airfare around the world. And I got Hong Kong because I was quite well known, but my family fell apart, or what I thought was my core. And I went to Hong Kong because it was as far away as I could go
Right.
without coming back east or west. And I felt like I was in the French Foreign Legion. And if you ever see any movies about the French Foreign Legion, they never ask you anything about your past. So the orchestra would give me round the world ticket once a year. And I went to Ibiza one summer. I was hit by a car driving a motorcycle. And it's amazing, everyone, because I was dragged across gravel and the whole of my right side of my chest was ripped away with gravel. It got infected with gangrene. And if you know anything about Ibiza, it's fun in the sun, but medical attentions is, well, maybe for sunburns,
That's right.
not road burns
Right.
or body surfing on gravel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought everything, and I had a broken sternum, broken ribs, broken. Okay. Anyways, about a week later, I felt like my life force was leaving me. I had to get off Ibiza.
Mhm.
And I was flying first class, but I was expecting to spend the whole summer there and go back to Hong Kong, start the next season with the orchestra. So I made a change of flight arrangements to fly back to London because I've flown from Hong Kong to London down south to Ibiza. I could hardly walk up the stairs. I was taking one leg, lifting it,
Wow.
taking another leg, lifting it, and you can hear all this crunching of bones. Well, the flight attendant at the top saw me struggling to get to the top. I got to my chair. I sat down. She went and got the captain of the plane. He comes and sees me and says, "We can't take you." I go, "What do you mean?" He says, "You're." I don't think you're going to live for the 2.5 hour plane ride back to London. And unless you sign a release form, releasing the airline, the crew, everything, should you die. Okay. So the plane was delayed. They gave me a piece of paper. I sign it, go off to London. Now, everyone, when it talks about connecting with source, that I feel myself like a universal fractal of the source, and fractals go on for infinity. So I believe all of you are part of this collective of the source. So I prayed, and to the source was, hey, I have no idea where I'm going in London. I'm going to die pretty soon.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I trust that everything was going to be taken care of. At that moment, I get tapped on the shoulder by this person sitting opposite me. Now I can hardly move because I got all these broken ribs and my sternum was split.
Wow.
And the guy says he heard what happened. And he says, listen, when we get to London, do you have any idea where you're going?
Well, I'd say the hospital, but I said,
If I had gone to a general public hospital,
yeah,
I would have died.
yeah,
He says, when we get back to London, I'm going to send my family home in a taxi. I'm going to take you to my personal physician. It was unbelievable. This guy said, are you insured? I said, yeah, very well. He says, okay, picks up the telephone. He calls up a friend of his who is renowned as the best plastic surgeon in all of the UK. He had done so much that he just said, I got you booked for tomorrow at
yeah,
this hospital. This hospital, everyone, and this is where my my belief, universal source, I call God. I got into the best hospital that you could ever go to. At that time, the Sultan of Brunei, who was known as the richest man in the world, that was his personal hospital. On my floor, I had a Greek shipping magnate. I had the grandson of the guy that owned the rights to the Beatles, Dick James Music. His father was a major editor with the London Times. They did a biopsy of all this gangrene.
God,
This doctor, who had been working since the Second World War reconstructing pilots that had their faces melted, or Formula One drivers that had their faces melted in car accidents, he comes to me and says, I got bad news and I got worse news.
I got
And I go, okay.
good. Yeah, that's right.
Now I can hardly move. I got to, I'm lying in bed. I said, so what's the bad news? He says, well, listen, I've been doing this for a long time. We've been pumping you full of all kinds of antibiotics. Nothing is working. The gangrene is spreading. Okay. So what's the worst news?
What's
He
the
says, well, my best guesstimate is you got 2 weeks left to live, but really not 2 weeks. You got a week left. This is like, say, on a Monday.
yeah, yeah,
1 week left of consciousness. So if there's anybody you need to talk to, you better call them before the end of the week.
yeah,
That was it.
yeah. That was wow.
I never died. Well, obviously.
Oh, well,
No, this is
well,
just
you passed, and
this
right.
is an incarnation.
This is
I've
what
lived
it
a,
is. They put you in a clone. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and
right.
I'm a clone,
Yeah. Wow.
6 dimensional. No.
Yeah.
Anyways, 3 years later, in another incident, I had a brain aneurysm, blood clot. This was in Hong Kong. They said we can't do anything for you. You if it ruptures, you're dead almost instantly. So you may have 24 hours.
Mhm.
I'm going, okay. And there was always this peacefulness. I was just going, I never knew anything about any of this. I was just, and then through certain preventative measures, I was given medication for seizures with a neurologist. I'm in tour to Japan for 2.5 weeks. And the last day in Japan, I run out of the anti-seizure medication. I get back into Hong Kong the next day. I can, I'm not a doctor, so my personal advice is if you're on a heavy anti-seizure medication, taper it down. Don't stop taking it.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
The next day, I had 4 seizures. The second petite mal put me to the ground. I was with friends for lunch. They got me to the hospital. I went into emergency and I had a grand mal seizure. Everything in my body seized up like steel.
Yeah,
And the last muscle, everybody, is your heart. At that moment, I left my body
yeah, yeah.
and I was in this incredible, I still get goosebumps when I think about it, like bliss. And I'm just, wow. Yeah, I'm getting them now.
Mm.
And as a trombonist in an orchestra, you count a lot of rests, like you're not playing all the time. But then when you play the money notes. So you're counting hundreds and hundreds of bars of rest. I pick up a countdown 39, 38, 37, 36, and I know at zero, I'm just going to vaporize and go through the wall. The emergency room doctor, when they called out 35, it never happened. They called code blue. I hear we're losing him. I pop back into my body because I'm going, what is this all about?
What's
Like, and I remember looking to my left, I saw the guy with the paddles, and I'm going, you got to be kidding me. No, I didn't say that, but in
right?
my mind, I'm going,
You gotta be kidding, right?
and I had this conversation with the source, and I was in a twilight zone. There was no time, no space. And we had this conversation, and I believe life is free will and choice. So the choice I was given was I'll start your heart, but I'd like you to go out as an envoy of love and peace in this world and take that wherever you go, and I will be with you. I want you to break the chains that bind people, that imprison people. I want you to feed the hungry. I want you to clothe the people that are naked. And your light will radiate, and I will always be with you. So 6 weeks later, I resigned from the orchestra and I left my music career, and I've been doing this ever since with all kinds of different people. And it gives me great joy to be speaking to all of you because, like I said, as a wellness professional, I have been internationally invited to all kinds of conferences, a lot dealing with trauma. And you think wellness, you know, improving, whatever. But I started it in palliative care,
Mm.
helping the dying die. And I'm thinking, okay, how can I help these people?
Right.
And some of these people, well, yeah, they went pretty quick. And so one program that I was really happy that I created was writing your own epitaph. And my colleagues, the medical people, said, "Are you crazy? What the hell are you doing?" Um, but to the people I was servicing, being of service to, I made a joke. I said, "Consider this your last 2 cents worth engraved in granite." And who better else can express all of you than you? So I'd go back and, "Hey, Paul, what rhymes with?" They were enjoying the creative moments of creative writing. And some of these people would pass on their words of wisdom. So material possessions doesn't matter. Nothing matters. I heard over and over and over again, at the end of your life, if you are fortunate and lucky enough to have 5 people that have loved you and you have loved themselves, loved you and love you, and they have you love them, that is the greatest gift you can receive. So until my time,
Again, after the
um,
oh,
I do not live in a matrix. I don't follow any rules, regulations. I have been a little bit of a maverick all my life. And even this program that I'm giving to you
yeah,
is a 180-degree turn in the world of mental health. After working for so long, this is over 30 years, there is not one program out there to prevent a young child coping with traumatic stress. And they can't process it, but they
no,
can do these activities.
yeah,
And that is, I can prove that because after 10 years as a therapist at a huge mental health and addiction substance abuse facility, so many of my clients, I wasn't doing trauma work, but so many of my clients said, first of all, they were doing these skills, I was teaching them. So even though they're a little bit strange, they work enough that these people had the confidence to share with me, express what had happened to them in childhood. And they were horrific, just like Andrea was saying, horrific, unbelievable. And these little children were just left to their whatever.
right. Yeah,
And I was, through serendipity, I was fortunate because all of a sudden, I wanted to find the source or have the source I went to ground zero and I became the very first male children's facilitator at Canada's first center shelter for women and children of domestic violence. My kids were usually from age 4 to 12, and I would teach them these skills as coping strategies, but I would do it through games. And I'd call it fun, functional understanding, not necessary. Because what I just did at the beginning of this podcast, you're probably still going, what was that all about? But there is a huge science basis to all of this. And these little kids taught their mothers.
right.
The
Yeah,
mothers are like, they got to get housing, shelter, they got to go back to school, they got to find employment. They were just overwhelmed. And these little kids could teach their mothers how to cope with all of this. And the two would come together and put the pieces of their lives back together in peace. Now that I have my hands clasped, I'd like to share with you an experience of neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
So everybody take your hands, bring them together, interlock your fingers, and notice how comfortable that feels. Now, open your hands and reverse the finger positions. So whatever thumb was on top, you have the reverse. So now you're thinking like, how do I do this?
Right.
How many of you are wondering what you do with your little finger? Does it feel like a little bit left out?
I don't.
Open your hands and come back originally, feel, and then just keep going back and forth, everybody.
Yeah, that's like the wrong.
Just go back and forth. And as you keep going back and forth, notice if it's starting to feel a little different. This is how we can wire our brain using these exercises over and over and over again. And then eventually, you may find out that you're changing the way you clasp your hands. The last thing I'd like to share with you is that conversation I had with the source.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, Paul.
Yeah. It wasn't Pleiadian. Hey, you gotta.
It was a whisper. It was beyond words. So, in closing, you got, the craziness of the world.
Bring it in airplanes.
The world is crazy. A master asked a student, who is God? The student responded, God is the breath within the breath. The word listen and the word silent contain the same letters. And in the silence, listen. So what I'd like you to do is take a nice big breath in and a big out breath. And at that cycle, stay in that zone and just listen. Breathe. Exhale and listen in that silence. Breath in, breath out, and listen. We take over like 22,000 breaths in a day, maybe one less,
Depending on your day.
depending on the day. However, certainly everyone, you can put in a couple breaths in your day where you just breathe in and breathe out. And in that zone, listen. Because that's what got me started with this program. For 17 years, provided a service for high profile people that lived a jet set lifestyle, traveling all over the world, never in one city or country long enough. And they had certain personal issues that they didn't want the public to know about. Now, this is way before Zoom. The service was called Peng 911. Peng is Chinese character for peace, harmony, and balance. But they called me the Midnight Rider, the urban legend, or who are you going to call? The Ghostbuster. I was the ghost.
Ghost. Yeah, the ghost. The ghost.
Nobody saw me. You had to know somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody to reach me. And I was very, very, very successful until 2020. In October of 2020, there was a report from Japan that from March to the end of October, the total number of COVID deaths were something like 2,069. In the month of October alone, 1 month, 2,800 people had taken their lives in Japan,
Yeah, yeah.
and 80% were women.
Wow, really? Oh, okay.
And I said, that's it. I have all these skills that I've been the first down the rabbit hole. I faced unbelievable chaos with the people I work with, but nobody knew. And I made a conscious decision again, listen in the silence. And it was like, help your brothers and sisters. So I invested everything into this program. It's on the website, brainfitnessinternational.com.
And you have a new website on the way, just for folks to
New
know.
website on the way. But that $5,
Yeah,
I made it that way so that anybody in the world could afford it.
right.
And the funny thing is people have different values by how much they pay. So my paying clients, five, six, $700 US an hour. What was amazing was the people that paid me $700 US an hour, and sometimes we're talking 24 hours. Okay. I mean, crisis, chaos. It worked. It worked really, really well, but I couldn't hold on to these skills when I saw the devastation going on in this world.
Yeah.
And that's when I made a conscious choice. Remember, free will and choice, I believe, is life.
Hmm.
And I made that choice. And I thank Andrea for this invitation on her podcast because she's doing incredible work to bring this community of all of you together. And I'm very grateful and thankful that I've been part of this to share these skills with you. And since you already know I like toys,
Yes.
you might have seen that movie, Happy Feet,
Oh, I love
because
that. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Yes. Yes.
when I was working with the kids at that shelter for women, I would take the mums out for outings, and people were looking at me because I could have 8 mothers with their baby strollers and about 10 kids all holding on to me. And all these people in Toronto in the public transit system was, who is this guy
The Pied Piper.
with 8 women and all these kids? But I took them to to see movie, Happy Feet dancing. So penguins cannot fly, but they can swim exceedingly well. But I trust you get to understand who I am a little bit more. And through the skills that I've shared with you and some of my personal stories to assist you, you transform yourself into a wise owl.
That's awesome. That's
I'd like to thank you all and bless you with peace be upon you. Thank you.
well, Paul, I mean, I think you're, a little, I hate to use the word guru because I don't want to use that, but I think an elder, and I mean, and I don't mean old as an elder, I mean an elder as in wisdom, as we call medicine in the Native American, many Native American call medicine. But in off planet, the Arcturians, the people that we go to, the Andromedans, to seek wisdom, to seek expansion, to seek the knowledge. And it's as you mentioned, and you're not just talking the talk, you've walked the walk, so that to me is what is very, compelling. And your mention of source, and that's very extraterrestrial, and that's what the Arcturians, the Andromedans, but any of your off-planet benevolent societies, which our people are them, and it's about understanding that you are the fractal of that universe, of the universes, of the multiverses that you embody within yourself, which is what's been removed from Terrans, which is what is our role to bring back to them, is a consciousness, which is what the animals show us, is that you are a piece of source. No one can break that. No AI can take that. Nothing can
No.
stop that piece of that source. And the peace that comes from understanding, from sitting outside in the moonlight, from playing with some of these exercises, not necessarily to relieve stress, but maybe to assist in telepathy, to begin to cultivate neuroplasticity. And because in that stillness is where telepathy and remote viewing exists. In that stillness is the connection to source, which is
Yes.
what you would experience with working with Arcturians, or with Pleiadian elders, or with whatever, somebody's mantis, or whatever race and species you are. And understanding that the Terran is the magical, wonderful being group that is of this planet, that is of Earth, of Terra, right? Of this really lovely,
Yes.
that we share this planet with all the animals and the plants and the crystals and the rocks and everything. And you know, we came here, the envoys, yourself, all these people that came here, they're not all extraterrestrial. Some are multidimensional. Some are very high level, what people might call angelic, whatever, right? A very high level understanding of knowledge and wisdom and the universal field. So we have all different beings here, Native American elders that are coming back. We have, things that are like the elemental fairy type realm that are now embodied here to push this planet forward. So realizing that it was love that brought you here. You
Yes.
came here for love. You didn't come here for conquest. You didn't come here for any other or to an experience. You came here. You left. We've all left our realm, and we came here from love, from service to others.
Yes.
And loving ourselves sometimes is what we forget when we're doing service to others. But you have to radiate, and that's what you're showing people is you have to, as you radiate this energy, this essence, it comes through you. The earth radiates love. Animals radiate love. Plants radiate love. You learn to tap into that essence and share and exude as you're walking through the grocery store. This love energy. And it's interesting because I work with Chinese healers and different people like that, and people like yourself. And as it must be, you would think, wow, it must be so exhausting. And they're like, no, the more people that I work with, the more patients I have, the more clients I have, whatever. It is absolutely, I heal myself at the same time. And that's not so much, there's this little off-planet wisdom. But yeah, it all starts to come together. It's almost like the formation. You think of a crystal like this. You have the atoms, the atomic structure that make up everything, right? The quantum, right? All begins to manifest together and to form this crystal, and that is really what we're doing.
Yes. Yes. And I invite all of you,
I,
please, just to consider being part of my mission
yeah.
of goodwill, love, peace. And in the words of Mark Twain,
Mark. Oops.
there's nothing wrong with doing the right thing. In the words of Paul Hyman,
I asked.
this is not rocket science, but these skills are more effective than a cruise missile. And we need to bring this to the children of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so awesome. You got a response right away when you. Yeah, I don't know. It probably doesn't pick up on Jesse. Every once in a while, in a pivotal moment, he'll crow, and he just crowed. So
Thank you. Thank you.
the gods have spoken, right? Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. But Yeah, so maybe sometime we can do a live with Paul when you have some free time. We'll do it on Rumble so we can be a little bit more open and the public can join in and chat. And but I'm also going to leave in the description any folks that would like to, meet up with Paul or see what Paul is doing and learn more about his programs. I always leave that in the description. And of course, keep checking back because we're going to have a awesome new website which is in the making for Paul, and that's going to be rock and roll. I can tell you right now. I know who's making it, so
And,
brilliant.
and everybody, as you go about your day, walk with a smile inside and walk with a golden radiance of love. And you won't believe how that will touch people besides touching you from the inner side.
Yeah.
And the best, I have so many examples, but how many of you have seen a little baby in a stroller and they look at you and your eyes twinkle, you smile, and next thing you know, you've connected. Please, we need all all of you. And this is why I do the work I do. But as I said, given my experience, I never really make plans because I'm always thinking, well, I don't even know if I'll be alive by tonight. And somebody said, yeah, I know this guy. He's made a dinner and arrangement for Thursday, but this is Monday, and he doesn't know if he'll be alive on Tuesday. Thank you, everyone.
The rapture, right? It was brilliant, Paul, and I'm looking forward to having. Maybe we can get you on with Renata. That would be awesome. We're gonna have a little group live. So yeah, scheduling is always one of our right. So thank
Yes,
you so
my
much
pleasure.
for bringing your life's work and your life's mission and your obviously soul mission, your consciousness mission as well. You weren't no one escapes that. I think we all learned that. I don't care what. But it's absolutely brilliant. So, as we always say in the words of Frank Chili, not Mark Twain or Paul Hyman, but in the words of the sage, the tall Venusian sage, Frank Chili, we'll see you upstairs.
Definitely. Thank you.